Welcome back to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. Your boy DJ KO. I'm glad you guys tuned back into the show. I'm glad you guys who subscribe to the show. Much love, much love. I'm glad you guys told a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend what we got going on in here. Even though I know you guys are supportive. Shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to 605. Let me see. Let me get it right. 605 Infused Cocktails. Be on the lookout for that. May 20th, Summer Jam. Be out there. They're going to be hosting their product. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to my up-and-coming sponsors and everybody that support the show. I appreciate you guys. Again, now, I'm glad you guys tuned in because, you know, a guy like myself, you know, I bring individuals on that embrace the culture, and I try to help the culture out with the information that the individuals that I bring up here. And today I got a young brother. Well, actually, I got two individuals, but one is on camera, one is off camera. One is for support. In our community, you know, we have situations, right? We have issues with money. We have issues with credit. We have issues with business. And sometimes some people have, I'm not going to say they have the actual answer, but the answer the way they did it. And it was successful so the way they did it. So that's why I wanted to bring this brother up, because I saw something that intrigued my interest, you know, something that I think, if not everybody, and this is not a color thing, they're almost in debt, right? And right now I think it said that America is, 41% in credit card debt right now. And that's what I'm going to get into. But before I get into that, getting the meat and potatoes of that, I want to introduce to my guest. I have Ashton Winfree up here. Hold on, maybe your hand clap, brother. Hold on. So he's representing A&V Winfree Consulting. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Excited to be here. I love talking about money, so.
Oh, yeah, we all do. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I love talking about it and getting it.
For sure.
Having access to it. So, Ashton, before we get started, could you tell people exactly where you're from?
So born and raised here in Houston, from the South Side, MLK and Selinsky. So I've been in Houston my whole life.
You in the hood, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
One of the few that made it out.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's funny? For the last couple of guests that I had up here, like the last 6 guests, everybody's from the hood, and everybody's from Sunny Side and South Side, and I didn't know that. I'm like, where everybody from the North Side at, man? Is this a South Side thing?
I don't know. Maybe they still at home. I feel like from the South Side, it can breed a certain type of person, and I think that a lot of us are just finding ways legally to make some money. So
Right.
At this point now, as you know from our community, it's important for us to, once we find a way, find some things that work, we can share with others and find a way to get back.
Right. So let me ask you this. Now, I know, like I spoke about earlier, I know that majority of America is in debt, right? I want you to take us down a ride. First of all, how did you even get into debt? Because you look like a young man. You know what I'm saying? Young individuals, only time we really get in debt when we go to college and they offer us those credit cards, right? Those high interest rate credit cards, they give us $300 limit. So, and we fast forward, we grow up to 45, and we forgot all about it. Next thing you know, we owe $10,000. We're at a 41% interest rate. So how did you even get into debt?
So thankfully, I didn't get my first credit card until I was like 23 years old.
Okay.
So I got into debt first off by going to school. So if you don't have money growing up, it makes sense to borrow money to go to school. So, I mean, it's America. Things cost money. So if you want to get a good education, I think going to college is a really smart route, especially if you might not have any mentors growing up to be able to teach you about money, to teach you how to be a man, to teach you how society works. Then going to college is a really good route. And going to Sam Houston State, where I started my undergrad, borrowing the money made sense.
So to Sam Houston. All right. Look, I'm going to give you a shout out for that. But the thing is, you know, I represent HBCUs. I'm just saying. But, you know, much love Sam Houston State. Okay. So what motivated you, though, to do that? Because as a young man, that's not our motivation. Our motivations, you know, I can't talk freely because, you know, his wife is up here. But, hell, we can talk freely on Culturally Distinct. But now, as a young man, you know, we have different excitements. You know, some things we like going to the club. We like chasing after, you know, women. We like chasing money. We like doing what they call these fly-by-night gigs. You know, so just to get a little. And you at the age where social media is like the thing.
Right.
So what motivated you to even to tackle the debt?
So I believe if you borrow the money, pay it back. This is with anybody, right?
Okay.
So if you borrow money from your cousin, you borrow money from your homies, then you should pay it back. So in the same sense, although it's a lot, you should pay back your student debt as well. Pay back any debt you have. So again, in order to get things that we want, and shout out to America for being capitalism, because really in a lot of places it's hard to borrow money.
Yes.
So if I can borrow the money, and I can get a solid education, and I can use that to be able to get a nice paying job to be able to fulfill my dreams, then my thought is let's pay it back, right? So shout out to my wife Vanessa, she's great.
Shout out to the wifey. Shout out to the wifey.
And she's with her household growing up, they did a really good job of like showing her how to save money or how not to spend money. On my end, I'm the spender, out of the relationship, so I can spend money on things that make me happy, things I want to, kind of just splurge on, hang out with my homies. But when it comes to getting out of debt, the thought was, how can I like move my money in a different way, right?
Okay.
How can I get out of debt to where if I do want to be an entrepreneur somewhere in the future, I can have some income producing debt. So right now, with student loans, you borrow to get a job, but it's not really used to make any money. So around 2017, we decided to go to Cuba.
Okay.
Right? Her dad is from Cuba, so we did like a homage trip. And going to Cuba, one of the first time I seen people that looked like me that couldn't speak English, right? So that kind of changed my perspective a little bit. But also, they can live off of very little. So when you look at a group of people who can live off of very little and still be happy, we sat down and thought about, okay, what if we kind of cut back on how we were spending, how we were living in certain areas, and then better get out of debt so we can start to do things like travel more, eat out more, which we could do at that point in time, but why keep paying like this $700 a month to student debt?
Right.
When in reality, that $700 can be the same amount of money you need to be able to get a round trip to Guatemala.
So, but that's interesting because now you use the term capitalism, and America is based off of that. And as a man, I'm married. I've been married a long time, and my wife ain't trying to hit none of that. You talking about living like the minimum lifestyle, right? Basically, what do we really need? What are necessities and what things that we want to cut down what we need, right? She ain't having that. And I got to give a shout out to my black women first. But they ain't having it. They ain't trying to hit it. They like, man, look, I need to go shopping. I need to go out to eat. I need to get my shoes and I need to get my bags. That's like a mandatory I'm like, for us, of course, that don't make sense. But I'm like, well, I paid $4,000 for a bag. That doesn't make sense to me. Still to this day, I don't get it. But when a man tries to do this, what was that conversation? Like, we was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Was it a mutual understanding, or was it just like, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z together?
It was a mutual understanding. So a good thing about her upbringing as well is that they would go about life in general without splurging. So it wasn't hard to get her on board. It really was her getting me on board with cutting back certain things. So whenever we started to go through our debt-free journey, I worked in wealth management where we managed the assets of ultra-wealthy families that had at least like $25 million and up. So being in that space, I would wear really nice suits, nice tailored suits. So it's me having to go to work, nice suit, but still take my lunch to work when everybody else is going out to to lunch.
Okay.
Or with me and my homies might be going on a trip, and me having the control to say, you know what, I'm not going this time, I'll catch the next one. So it's really me changing my habits and me having a sense of discipline to say, okay, I cannot spend money here in this place here. We're still going to have a good time. We're still going to travel. We're still going to do the things we want to do. But overall, what's some things that I can cut? Because, again, really, I don't need much.
Well, I want you to take me down the journey, right? Take me down the road. Because when you have an idea, or when you and your wife have an idea, at the very beginning of the idea, it's exciting. You have the motivation, you have the passion, but as time goes on, that passion starts to drizzle out. You know what I mean?
Right.
How did you guys maintain like that mindset for the time that you guys to get out of debt?
We touch bases regularly.
Okay.
So we talk on a regular basis. One of the really valuable things about our relationship is that we talk on a daily basis. So whether it's us sitting down and having breakfast together or us sitting down and having dinner together, we talk about life, but then we also talk about the money. So I think many people are like scared to talk about money, which I think is like super wild, especially if you like married. I even heard some like married couples where they'll talk about everything but the money. They still got separate bank accounts. I think that's wild, personally. For me.
Yeah. Now,
So-
now, that's a conversation. So I believe, this is what I believe. This is my opinion. I believe that every couple, if they have a business, I think every couple should have at least 4 bank accounts. At least 4. When I say 4, of course, you have your mutual account for the funds, you have your business account, and you have individual accounts. Because sometimes she wants to do something she wants to do, and you want to do what you want to do. Now, one thing that, and this is statistically factual, 2 things that ends marriages are money and, of course, sex. But money is a big one. And they speak about money, the love of money in the Bible and all that. So money is an important thing, right? So that's what I think. But you guys say you have the mutual account with everything, right?
Yeah, I think if it's if we're married, we should be in the same game. How much money we have, who do we owe, how much we owe, so we can always be on the same page and figure out how we can pay it back down.
So now I want to get into that. So now, what was the actual number that you guys in debt? Give me the actual number.
The number was 105. Yeah,
104 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
In debt.
In debt.
That's everything. That's loans. That's credit cards.
That's student loans. That's car notes. That's medical bills. Majority of it was student loans from me.
Okay.
So me borrowing money from an undergrad, and then me going back to grad school, which in grad school there's no grants for grad school. You either gonna pay out of your pocket or you're gonna borrow the money. But again, my thought is if I'm trying to like level up and elevate, get a better paying job, understand more how the world work, then I'll borrow the $60,000. Come and pay it back.
Right.
I ain't trying to run from you. I'm gonna borrow it because the thought is if I borrow this $60,000 and it gets me up to, let's make up a number, $200,000 a year, then it makes sense.
So, all right, so you're 104,000 in debt. What was that conversation saying? Okay, well, first of all, how did y'all even calculate the actual number? Because most people don't even know their number of debt that they're in. They just say, okay, well, I owe this on this credit card, this on this credit card, my mortgage is that, my student loans are that, and they just pay it. They don't actually equate it. They don't know exactly how much the number is. So how did you guys, what was that conversation like?
So I think many problems we have as human beings, we can like run from them by not talking about it.
Right.
So we talk about it, but really it's just us going into the accounts and doing the simple math, right? Simple arithmetic. Let's look at how many loans we have, how much do I owe for each one of those loans, how many credit cards I have, how much do I owe, and then seeing that picture, it seems like a lot, and then we can break it down and make it simple.
Oh, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. So now you're $104,000 in debt. So what was the, and not giving me too much information, but what was the technique or what was the, I guess, the method that you guys attacked it? You said, okay, well, we have $104,000 in debt. This is what we make. This is our bills. How was that?
So some intangibles. So one is us meeting on a regular basis. So after we get that number down, let's just meet on a regular basis. So let's not run from it. Let's face it head on. So if we see it on a regular basis, then we know it's real. But also when we are paying it down, we can see like the progress that we're making on a regular basis. So after we identify, how much we owe and we face it on a regular basis, then it's seeing, okay, what can I afford? You either can increase your income or cut your expenses. Those are only 2 ways to be able to get things taken care of. So it starts, okay, let's look at what we can cut back on. A lot of things, again, we have. So we might be like paying for subscriptions that we don't use, right? And for us, especially when you start making a little bit more money, you can overlook things that you might think is small, right? You might think like $7 small, but in reality, so with that, if you want a hamburger, all you got a car in your garage, let me go ahead and order DoorDash. So now your $10 burger is now $17.99 or $20. So you do that 10 to 15 times, but you also do that for Starbucks. You also do that for other little things you want. Now, the extra money that you spent could have just went towards paying down some interest.
So now, because that's, all right, so you have some philosophies out there, right? Some people. And I disagree with, and I'm going to say his name. I say his name all the time, Dave Ramsey. I disagree with his techniques because that's impossible. The reason why I say it's impossible, one, he don't tell people his backstory. He had $1 million loan from his dad, which is not possible, right? That the average person get. So then he tells, how to get out of debt. But I'm like, that's not possible, man. When you have kids, when you have 3 or 4 kids, right, and you making, say you making 90 grand a year, right? Your wife making 70. You take it out the taxes, all that stuff. You have a mortgage, right? And you're trying to start a business. So now you got all these expenses, right? Even though you do have credit card debt and stuff like that, but you're using these credit cards to master your business, right? I'm like, no matter what you do, you got gas, right? You got food, and food right now, inflation is crazy. You got food, you got housing, you need that, and bills right now are crazy. I'm like, so if you downsize your house with 3 people, how much downsizing can you really do, right?
Great question.
To be livable, right, comfortably. And I'm like, bro, that doesn't make sense. Now, if you by yourself or you like just got married, no kids, and y'all up and coming, that's different. But you got kids. I'm like, man, that's impossible, man. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of Susie Orman.
No, I haven't.
So Susie Orman, she does pretty much the same thing, but she combats everything Dave Ramsey says, right? But she believes in staying in debt, but using somebody else's money to get you out of debt. That's her technique. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like basically you're not paying anything. You're paying, of course, the interest on the loans, but you're using that money to pay off everything. Because her concept is you're always gonna pay somebody, always gonna owe somebody for the rest of your life. But that Dave Ramsey stuff. So I say that to say, what are your strategies? Like, what are you guys' strategies?
So I support her idea when you're running a business. So one of my professors when I was in college told me, get rich off somebody else's dime.
Yes,
so
right.
I support that 1,000,000%. So if you're running a business, then you should find a way to borrow some money. The bank's gonna require you to make your own money first, to be able to support the idea that you can pay them back. Because really the whole game is, can you pay me back if I let you borrow some money? So from a business standpoint, definitely do that. From a personal standpoint, it can be risky. I believe Dave Ramsey also said cut up your credit cards. Did he say that?
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you hear.
Nothing.
I don't support that at all. So, because at times, the goal is to get out of debt to where you use the debt when you need it, but you can pay it back. Mm-hmm. So, it's good to have, let's say, a high credit card limit, but not just selling debt. But if you need a root canal tomorrow and it costs you $5,000, you could use your own cash, but you could just use that credit card that you have to be able to pay for that root canal. But if your credit card's already maxed out, then you can't use it, right? So the thought is, from a personal standpoint, let's get out of debt that won't provide me any value anymore, right? So our strategies are say for one of our strategies, once you lay it all out, which one can I tackle first? Okay. How can I look at it in how can I make it a smaller goal?
And which one? Which one is that? So see, I'm just gonna give you a scenario. Mm-hmm. You have grocery, you have credit card. Say you have give me a company, American Express. Say you got an American Express card. Say you have a $10,000 limit, right? You $5,000 in, right? You have the American Express, you have your grocery, you have, say your subscriptions, right? Also, you have a monthly eating budget, right? And you have a trip budget. So which one do you tackle first?
So I believe when you make a budget, you should, for myself, I need to build in a discretionary budget. So you got to make it fun.
Okay.
It could be real stringent if you look at all of your expenses and you say, I'm going to cut back on everything. But we're still human and we're in Houston. So it's active, right? So you can try to run from it if you want to, but if you're on social media, you're going to see what's going on and what's happening. So we built in a discretionary budget. So we look at, okay, how much money should we allocate towards having fun each month? Okay. And then it's, let's say, for instance, with our expenses, what am I not really using? If I'm working 60 hours a week because I'm trying to get rich, the goal is to get rich. If we're trying to get rich and work 60 hours a week, then I don't need HBO, Disney, Netflix, Showtime, and Amazon Prime. Which one am I really watching? If I want to watch Netflix, then let me cut them. I'm probably watching none of them.
Amazon Prime, man.
Right? So, so it's which one of those can I cut, right? And then you take that same thought and apply it across the board. So again, some things you can't cut. If you already signed your 30-year mortgage, you can't cut that.
No, you can't.
You can't cut that.
Unless you sell your house.
So if you have your car note already, you probably can't cut that. I say one thing I did, though, to be able to help us out is that I used to have a Mustang, 2015 Mustang. I got my first salary at Papado Seafood Kitchen. I got my salary. I'm like, I'm gonna get me a new car. Okay. Got me a Mustang because I was 24. No, I was 24, 25 at the time. I had a high car note and a high interest rate. So I want to start the debt-free journey. I'm like, okay, how can I get out of this, right? So I saved some money. Or we saved some money. I looked at, okay, what I was paying now, let me get it down. So I sold a Mustang, and by selling a Mustang and getting a more affordable car, I cut my car note in half. Okay. And I cut my insurance in half. So with that, that's an extra $300 that I can put towards a student
Something
debt.
else. Yeah. So let me ask you this: do you agree with this? Because I believe we all grew up, kind of poor, and now we have opportunity to do things that, like you say, you travel. I got an opportunity to do a couple of things. We have a couple of businesses, stuff like that. Uh, Now, this is my philosophy and this is my belief. Since we didn't have, we always had that mentality, and our parents had that mentality. And our parents had that mentality like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But in order for you to get, if that's your goal, in order for you to get to a certain place economically, right, financially, you have to invest a lot of stuff. You had to spend money to make money, right? That's just the principle, right? I think in the verse in the Bible it says, "Give and it shall be given," right? But the principle is you got to give first in order to receive it, right? I think a lot of us in our communities, we don't realize that if we want to reach to that point, some people just want to do the 30-year job and go home and chill. But if you aspire to be wealthy or extremely rich, you have to do some crazy things, right? I ain't say crazy, but you have to like go out there and you have to jump over the cliff, right? So what would you say to people like that believe in that, say, okay, well, I'm willing to risk everything, bet big to win big?
If you're scared, it's okay.
Okay.
So it's understandable if you get nervous about making like a big leap or taking a big risk and putting things on the line. But really, that's how you're gonna make it work. So one of my philosophies for America is either you got ideas or you got money. So you got good ideas and people can give you money for it, or you got some money where you can put into ideas.
Right.
So,
well, I think the word job is an oxymoron to some people, because if you have a job, you can't get rich. You're making somebody else rich. That's just my philosophy, because the person that's signing your check, the one who got the money.
Right. Now, but I also believe that it's okay to have a 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Have a 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
So I think some of the young homies may be misled with the idea that I gotta be an entrepreneur right away.
Nah.
But really, you having a 9 to 5 job, even though you might not be making the money you're making, you can learn a lot from it and be able to figure out how it works for you. So a big benefit of me working at that wealth management firm is me seeing how somebody first make the money and then how they keep it. So I can see someone who can start a restaurant business, turn it into a chain, move into real estate, and then when they pass away, have $100 million in assets.
Right.
So by seeing how that works, even though I'm getting paid, like a bum for lack of better terms, I can learn a lot. So then when I'm ready to jump and I'm ready to go, I can do it, and then things change.
But I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that having a stable job, getting paid a stable income is okay. You can use that to finance your dream.
Absolutely.
Versus just jump out there and be like, I'm struggling.
The last thing with that too is like people talk about passive income a lot. You got to have active income first before you get passive income.
I like that. So since you guys been debt free, what has changed you guys' lives?
We're able to be more flexible. We can get up and leave, right? So it's and us spending money on things that we want to, as opposed to paying somebody back who we have to. So now that we're debt free, we can take more trips. So whether it's us traveling domestically or traveling internationally, if I happen to swipe my credit card to go to Canada or go to Seattle and drive to Canada, when I come back, if I have a credit card balance of like $1,200, I know for sure I can pay it back, considering that I don't have to pay back a student loan payment.
Got you. I understand. Right? Yeah.
And when you pay back your debt, when you want to be an entrepreneur, it works out a lot, because you can get business credit, or you can get like you can start a new entity, but they still gonna come back and say, okay, what are you like personally? So how can I guarantee?
Right. So to some people that's gonna be watching this show that's struggling, right? Struggling with bills, struggling with other stuff, other debts. What advice would you give for them?
Do the math.
Okay.
So if you have a credit card, and I'm gonna make up some numbers, but I think it makes sense. So if you have a credit card, and let's say, for instance, you owe like $10,000, and if you are paying back the minimum payment, let's say the minimum payment like $35.
Okay.
Calculate how much interest you're paying each day. So if you're paying them, let's say like $10 to $15 a day in interest, then you do that over a month, you paying $300, $450 a month. If you're only paying $35 or $100, you'll never pay it off.
Right.
So I think you being able to like calculate it and see it, it might bring it to reality. Okay, I need to change something.
So what can I expect if I was to sign up for AV consulting? What can I expect as a client?
So you will expect practical support. So it's us sitting down with you and helping you identify how much you owe, and then get real detail about it as well. So you may know that you owe $27,000 in loans, but you may not know that you have 6 loans, and they all broken down into individual loans, right? You may not understand how an APR work for a credit card, because you might look at 24.74%, and you think it's the whole, and you think you're paying that a month, but in reality you're not, because they do daily compounding rates. I won't get too much into that, but it's helping you change your perspective, and then again knowing how much you owe, knowing how much they charging you, and then us figuring out ways for you to pay it out depending on what your timeline is. So our timeline, we did it in 20 months. So that's super aggressive. We did a lot of changes, but for you, you might have 2 kids, or you might be a really big gift giver to where you're giving back to your your family members and your relatives. So you might not be able to change too much, but maybe there's something that's happening in your budget that you may not identify until somebody pointed out for you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So it's not always an aggressive approach. You can't expand it out for 3 years, 36 months, or 30 months, or 28.
Correct. Or 5 years or 10 years. It really depends on you. So same way for me, if I'm trying to gain some muscle, which never works, right? I can say, you know what, if I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle in 2 months, but in reality, I know I might not better give effort to it. So, I might ask somebody, hey, can I get a plan before I can gain like 10 pounds in like a year, in like 9 months? So, but it might be hard for me to realize it if I'm trying to tell myself how to do it, because I really haven't had the energy or even the practice with doing it. But having somebody sit down with you and talk to you about it makes it real. And then somebody who will be honest with you, it helps out a lot.
But you know what? That scenario makes a lot of sense. Equate weight, losing weight or gaining weight, to your finances. How long it takes for people to gain muscle and how long it takes people to lose weight versus Ozempic. That's another story. But
Yeah.
I was talking to Brandy about that the other day. But that's a good scenario. So let me ask you this before we get out of here. How can people find you guys for any type of consulting? What's your social media, any websites, anything?
So on Instagram, you can find us at AV_Winfree. On our Instagram page, you'll see our link where you can book a consultation, go to our website, get more info on our story. Also on Instagram page, you'll see fun things we do, like a no spend day. So we pick one day out the month where we say we're not going to spend $1.
Okay.
Right? It might be a random Thursday, it might be like April 26th or something, where we'll say, hey, for this one day, we're not going to spend any money. So it's us finding ways to instill certain habits to where, one day might not seem like a lot, but really it's hard to not spend money every day.
Yes,
again,
I know.
The machine is rolling. So, and this whole thing is designed for us to spend money. Is how the economy works. So if we can identify one day where it's like I'm going to drive by Chick-fil-A but not swipe, or I'm going to get on Amazon, I'm going to look but I'm not going to buy, right? You start to be.
Yeah, that's important, man, because that's one reason mindset. I think in this year and the years to come, as right now we're in the third quarter of being in the negative of the GDP. So that means we're in a recession, right? The way inflation is. So I think, and the way credit card debt is, I think people are becoming more aware of what's going on financially with their personal finances versus the United States finances. And I think they're becoming more accountable to what they spend and what they don't spend. Because like for my kids, they got credit cards, and they personal, what is it called? When I authorize, I'm authorized user,
okay.
Right? And they call me all the time because they're in college. I was like, no. Can we get some pizza? No. Well, I can't get my nails done. No. But I get it. But I'm aware of that though. So, but I appreciate you guys for coming up here, man. One more time before we get out here, let me put my music on. One more time before we get out here, give your information, your social media information, so that people can find you guys.
So you can find us on Instagram at AV_Winfree. Instagram will take you to our link where you can go to our website. We have expense trackers, so templates that you can use to help you write down your expenses. You can have them by month and make it simple for you so you can see things right in front of you. And that's where we're mainly at. So thanks for having us on here today.
Oh, man. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Hey, guys, make sure you hit up Ashton and Vanessa, AV Winfree Consulting. Ashton, what is it? AV_Winfree, right?
Yeah.
There it is, right there. I remember that. Hey, good job. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in the show. This is your boy DJ KO. Look, much love. You already know what it is. You hit me in the DMs. If y'all want me to contact Ashton, I can. It's all good. But I want to get you guys debt free for 2023. We got how many months we got this year? Left? We got 6 more months? 7 more months?
Nah, we got like 7 more months.
Don't worry about the summer. Spend for the summer, because that vacation money is gone already. But, after you get back from the summer, we're going to get started on the plan, all right? I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I love you guys. Remember, don't get hurt.